Imagine not having to do any openings today at all, basically. Imagine just playing one single setup as black against basically everything, right? And not only that, you can use the same setup for white. So that's what I've been looking at with this book, Sidestepping Mainline Theory, over the last week and a half or so. And the idea is exactly that. You do not waste your time, drilling variations, studying lots of different openings, the type of openings you're going to get if you play something like e5 to e4. Instead of doing that, what you can do is you play this one same setup in 99% of cases, where you play the old Indian setup and you get the same middle game plans that you're going to be familiar with, that your opponent's not going to be familiar with, in basically every single game, depending on what happens. Well, this is what this book claims, and I have been studying it, like I said, for the last week and a half, and I'm going to tell you what I think about that later on. I'm just going to show you what the setup is first. So as you can see, the basic setup can be arrived at with many different move orders, but it's basically going to be a pawn on c6, d6, pawn e5, the knights, f6 and d7, and bishop and e7. That is going to be the setup that you're going to play against e4, you're going to play against d4, c4, different flank openings, the London system, absolutely everything. Now what does differ is the move orders. You'll play the move orders slightly differently depending on what you get, but this is a basic position that you are going to set up with as black and as white as well. Here's an example of how black can get into that structure. In a typical d4 structure, c4 and knight c3, we can just develop into that position, the old Indian setup. And with c6 we enter the position I showed you at the start of the video, and this is the old Indian setup. And possible continuations, for example, could be like a d5 and then a c5 fixed in the centre. And what the book does, it talks you through the move orders quite a lot. It also gives you strategies and ideas and plans in various setups that white can throw at you. So what you're able to do is study the position on the board and think, well, actually in this particular setup, a particular plan playing for this square or whatever it is, in different variations you might be, for example, dropping the bishop back to get more control over e5 or e4. In other positions you might be playing to chip away at the centre, and basically you're looking at the structures and the plans. An absolute plus for this book, I think. You also get literally about 100 plus annotated games, key annotated games, which sort of complement the themes and the ideas that you're learning. So a game should you expect if you play this setup? Well, yeah, fairly solid, maybe going for an end game, and in some cases, the queens come off the board within the first few moves, but black is absolutely fine in those positions. But yeah, this is going to be not for everybody. Obviously, no openings are, but if you don't mind playing, a defensive counter-attack sort of opening where you're going to play for, an endgame advantage, then this sort of setup is going to work for white and black. You also can sit back there a little bit, and you can kind of want white to overstretch, and when white overstretches you can take advantage of weaknesses and key squares, which is what this setup works well with. So it's defensive counter-attack opening on the whole. Sometimes games can explode, obviously, but on the whole, that's the sort of system that you'll be playing if you decide to have a look at this book. If you're somebody who likes aggressive attacking gambit chess, it's probably not the opening book for you. But having said that, I do think there's an argument to be made that if you are an attacking tactical player, sometimes playing some positions that are the opposite of that can be beneficial for you and for your long-term development of chess. For example, if you don't like playing endgames, you're probably going to play in a few endgames in these sorts of positions, and I think that also could be good. So would I recommend this book? Well, obviously it's not for everybody, but I actually think this is a superb book. I think the structure is absolutely fantastic. Going with the plans and ideas is simply far better than just drilling lines endlessly over and over again. And yeah, what it aims to do is for you to cut down your opening repertoire, and I think you still have to sort of study the book and study the ideas and the plans and look at the move orders and things like that. But I think once you get your head around that, this book could be a massive time saver. I'm very impressed with it. I do think this is an excellent book, and I think the authors have done an amazing job, so well done, guys.